Hello, good morning, everyone. Okay, for today's tutorial, I will be painting this lighthouse. Okay, and we will be doing some clouds, and we will also do some waves here. I also provided an outline for this tutorial, so you can download it and print it so that you could use it. If you want to draw on your own, it's totally fine. I also I will be also using a light pad for this tutorial. If you would like to draw it freehand, you could also do so. That's a very good practice. But for this tutorial, I am just going to trace it, and I will show you how I do it without without any erasures on my watercolor paper, because as we know, watercolor paper is expensive, and if you make some erasures so much with your watercolor paper, it will also ruin your watercolor paper, and you do not want that on your painting. All right, so first what we're going to do is I will show you the reference photo. The reference photo is on the link on the description box. But then I will show you the reference photo so that I can I can show you what I'm going to do. Okay, so this is the reference photo. You can also see this in the description box. All right, so we are going to mask those waves here, those white waves. We will be using I am using graphic gum. Okay, so this is my masking fluid, and I'll show you how to use masking fluid. So that's what we are going to do first, and then we will mask them. And then here, I will, I will paint wet on the clouds, and we will lift some colors here. As you can see, there are some light and shadow showing in this reference photo, and that's what we are going to try to translate into painting. Okay, so I will be doing wet on the clouds, and then lift some colors. And then once the masking fluid has been dry, then that is the time that I will paint the waters. But I will paint first the lighthouse and also these rocks. Okay, there you go. So that's what I'm going to do. But first, I will transfer this drawing or this outline to my watercolor paper, and I am going to use a light pad. Okay. Also, I am going to use a very light pencil that is 3H. It is best to use the 3H pencil or 4H because it's easy to erase if you have mistakes. Also, it won't smudge that much. The difference between H or B pencils, H means hard and B means black. So it means that this kind of pencil that I am using, the 3H pencil, is very hard. It doesn't smudge on the paper, unlike the ones in the B's, the other one that is used specifically for like shading and smudging, specifically for those who likes drawing, especially portraits. Okay, so there, and we don't want to have smudges on our paper using the B pencil. Also, I do not use a carbon paper because that will be messy. It leaves marks on the watercolor paper that's hard to remove. So we don't want that. If you are planning to sell your painting or give it as a gift, of course you would like to have a clean paper, no erasures, no not ruining your paper, no messes. It should be clean, right? Art collectors also prefers to have a painting using artist grade materials. Aside from that, they, of course, if there's any mess, we don't want to show them or let them buy an expensive artwork with those masks. Aside from that, I am not using a tracing paper because that will take time. Because a tracing paper is what you're going to do is you will put it on top of your outline, and then you will trace it again on your watercolor paper. So that takes too much time. So what I'm doing is that I am using this light pad. I bought this in a local online local store here in the Philippines. That is Lazada. I'm sure that you can get something in your country or you can get in Amazon. If I find something, I will also put it in the description box. So for this, I will be turning off my lights first because it should be dark, and I can turn on my light pad. There you go. So I have here my outline. I put first my outline and my watercolor paper. All right, my watercolor paper I am using is Arches, and this is a 300 GSM 100% cotton. So even if my paper is a 300 GSM thick, I can still see it on the brightness of my light pad. You can also adjust the brightness of your light pad. There you go. But to avoid the papers moving around, I will also put a tape here. I have a tape here. Okay, one moment, please. I will just plug in my laptop. Okay, there you go. And later on, I will also show you the colors that I am going to use in this tutorial. You don't have to have the same colors. You can use any colors that are similar or near to the shade of those colors. Okay, so I am using just a regular masking tape just to avoid moving around this paper. I will put an allowance here because I will take this paper down to my board. Okay, I think this is good. So I'm always doing live tutorials every week. It can be Friday. It is every other Friday and every other Saturday. It happens to be like that because of my husband's schedule. I do not want to do, we are sharing office, and I don't want that I'm having tutorial and you will hear him talking to someone while he is also working. All right, and then let's start tracing. You can trace everything if you want to, because I put very detailed here on the lighthouse. You can also do that if you want, or you can also use macron pens or art or that will be Faber-Castell artist pen, pick pens. Those pens do not smudge. You can also do that after, but what I am going to do here is that I am going to do the drawings or the details later. Okay. Also, beginners' mistake common is that they do the details too early. Okay, remember to do your details at the end, or those are the last touches that you will do on your paintings. All right. Next week, I will be do live again on Saturday, and that would be Starry Night. And then I will teach you, and then after that week, the week next Friday, all right, because I do lives every other Friday and every other Saturday. So after the Starry Night, that would be Loose Sunflowers. I will put a schedule on my Facebook page. So if you do not follow me on my Facebook page, then you can follow me so you can check my event. I put everything, I put the event on my Facebook page, and I also put there all the details that is needed for the tutorial that I am doing, like the materials needed, the link for the reference photo, the link for this outline is also there, right? And I will also post a schedule on the YouTube community tab for the schedule of my live sessions. So you can also see that. I also noticed that most people who watches this live tutorial are not my subscribers yet. If you like this or the tutorial that I am doing, please subscribe to my channel. And I am doing free watercolor tutorials. I'm doing this for free because I saw the struggles of the watercolor artists or aspiring artists, beginners, artists who are struggling in watercolor. So I am doing this live session to help them to improve and to check also how I do my watercolor with my style. Okay. I am doing the drawing, just tracing everything that I see. Okay, there. Also in this tutorial, I will show you how I mask my painting using masking fluid. You can also check other masking fluids available. There are a lot of brands out there. There's from Winsor Newton. There is, I think Daniel Smith has it or Core. There's also from Hibeo and other different brands. You can also check masking fluid. This masking fluid that I am using is Graphicom. I looked at it in Amazon, but I did not find it there because I bought it in a bookstore here in the Philippines. Okay. I have this masking fluid, this Graphicom, for 3 years now, and I still have a lot here. It doesn't easily dry, unlike other brands, because what I noticed from other artists in Facebook groups, they're complaining about other brands that it dried out. So there, I do not use masking fluid all the time, and not all on my paintings, but I like using it on ocean waves. There on the very small details that I want to preserve to be white, okay, but not all the time. Also, using masking fluid, I'll show you the applicator that I am using and other applicators that I am using. And there is one applicator that is very affordable that you can easily find, that is very good for detail. Okay. In watercolor painting, actually, it's best if you know how to draw on your own because you can make your own compositions, and you can also make adjustment if you want to. You could do freehand drawing if that will be faster for you. I do not draw that much. When I was younger, I do not actually draw. So there. But in tutorials in watercolor painting, if your painting is your focus, you don't have to draw. Okay, there you go. So I transferred everything to my watercolor paper. So I am going to remove my light pad. Okay, there. This is my outline. I will set it aside also. So I have my watercolor paper here with my sketch. All right. And I'm going to tape it on my board. So this is my board. If you are not using a board, I suggest you should get one. I did not buy this. This is an old closet cabinet. Okay, that's why there is hole here. It is very important that if you have if you are using some kind of board, it is painted, so it will absorb the moisture of your of the water when you paint. So, and also it's good because you can tilt your painting if you need to. And that is what we are going to do as well when we are going to paint the clouds. Because if you paint it directly on your table, you cannot lift it up. Okay, there we go. And then get my rug here. I always have a rug beside me while I'm painting because I remove the excess paint here instead of using a tissue paper. I'm not using a painter's tape or any special tape on my paper, just a regular masking tape because this one works for me. What I do is I remove the excess thickness of the tape before taping my paper down. Okay. You can also do this on your clothes, but since I am doing a tutorial, I'm using my rug instead. Okay. Here we go. This is just a towel, micro fiber towel. You can use any towel that you can find at home. You don't have to buy an expensive ones. Okay. So I will take my paper down here. All right. That's on the top. I will put the next one below because it is easy for me to remove the tape if I do this. Okay. There you go. It doesn't ruin my paper, doesn't tear my paper. This one works for me. You can try it out. If it doesn't work for you, I'm sorry. But uh, before removing your tape, it is best to let your painting to dry. Always let your painting to dry. Do not be excited to remove the tape. It will ruin your paper. Patience is also the key in watercolor painting in having a successful painting. Because if you do not have patience, well, you will ruin your painting. Okay. Yeah, I think I am a patient person because I like painting in details. If you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, you will see some of my work. Like there are details like ripples of water. Right, you can see that. Okay, I will do the sides now. I really do tutorials from start to finish because that is what most requested of the beginners in watercolor painting that they said on or in the discussion the Facebook groups that they would like to see from start to finish. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. If you are watching a replay, you can also skip this part and proceed to the painting. That's fine. I am doing this for free because I would like to help the aspiring watercolor artists to be in love in watercolors and to help them also to have some options and have some options also in getting free tutorials that are detailed, that they do not have to subscribe to anyone or someone like in Patreon or someone or on Skillshare if you do not want to buy any class or attend classes like that. So I'm doing this for free. Okay. Everyone likes free, right? Okay. Of course, who doesn't want free? Okay. So before I will start my painting, I am going to prepare my paints first. These paints are from Monyo mm, set, and I am just using 5 colors. I do not put the entire set on my table. This has 48 colors. My goodness, it's so bulky. So imagine if you have this bulky thing in beside you. I do not like that. So I just remove the colors that I am going to use and I put it into my mixing plate. This is ceramic plate. Okay, so I am this is Van Dyke Brown. You can also use sepia. That's also good color. This one is burnt sienna. You could use any other browns or orange brown, like English red ochre. This is olive green. For the sky, I am going to use cerulean blue. You could also use Windsor blue, or you could also use phthalo blue, green shade. This is ultramarine. You could also use French ultramarine. I am using a pipette to pre-wet and activate my watercolors. Okay, this is I am using. All right, there you go. So before we start painting, I will be erasing some pencil marks first, especially in this area, because as for the reference photo, this area touches the sunlight and we do not want to have too much of pencil marks there. So that's fine. So I am using here a kneaded eraser, and this one is good because you don't have to rub your paper, and it's easy to lift the graphite there on your paper without ruining your paper. Hard erasers can ruin your paper, but I am going to use this not to remove the pencil marks, but to remove the masking fluid. You could also remove the masking fluid using your fingers, or if you have rubber cement, you could also use that. That is also a good way to remove the masking fluid. But for me, I am just using this hard eraser. I do not own this. Actually, this is my son's, and I got it from him. Okay, so here I will also remove some of the pencil marks because we will mask these areas, and we do not want to have some pencil marks there. There is a rock here. Okay, there you go. I have different masking fluid applicators. This one is from Jackson's Art. I transferred the half of the graphic gum here. It's also good, but for too much details, I do not recommend this because even though that this has like a small, um, this is very small, it can also release too much of masking fluid, and we do not want that. What I also do is I am using a rolling pen, or for very detailed is a toothpick. So this is what I'm telling you earlier, that uh, something that you may have at home that you could use for masking fluid applying for details, because if you can see, this is very pointy. This is the rolling pen that you can also use for applying masking fluid, but if you compare them, this is wider. You may also use old brushes with your masking fluid, but you remember to, whenever you use masking fluid with a brush. Hello, Trixie. Yes. Thank you. Okay. Also, if you are using a masking fluid, it can um you it can ruin your brushes. So do not use your brushes. You can use an old brush, but before dipping it to your masking fluid, dip it into a soapy water, like a dish of soap, and then before you dip your brush to the graphic gum, apply it on your paper, and then do it again. Dip it first your brush to the soapy water. But I'm not going to do it now because since this is live, we would like to have quick. So I'm just going to put a little bit of my masking fluid here, cap, and then I will apply it on my paper. All right. Okay. You can do that. I'm doing this masking because I would like to preserve the whiteness of my paper. I'm going to use the ruling pen here first because it doesn't get too much of my masking fluid. Well, this part is a little bit wider, so I can use this. And of course, before we paint on top of the masking fluid, we would like to have it very dry, or else it will ruin your brushes. Watercolor brushes are very expensive, so we want to save them, all right? It's very heartbreaking to see watercolor brushes that are ruined with masking fluid. I saw a lot of horror stories about it. So if you are interested in painting, you should have a lot of patience. Okay. There. I'm doing live every other Friday and every other Saturday Philippine time. Okay. Because I know that most of my audience are from other countries like in Canada, US. There are I'm surprised to see some countries like Thailand, India, Spain. Thank you for watching my tutorials, especially those who are watching the replays. I know not everyone are free during my time, but this is the most convenient time for me to do live tutorials. Hopefully, if will have my own studio and not sharing it with my husband, then I can have like tutorials, especially when my baby is asleep. As of now, my baby is with his nanny. Okay, so this tutorial is for beginners in watercolor, aspiring artists, or just to watch and learn. Because I know that some people who watches my tutorials are not only just artists, but they are also painters, like oil painters, acrylic painters, and it's good to see them. So I'd like to shout out Ace of Art. Ace of Art is my art community here in the Philippines. All of the artists are Filipino artists. And they are awesome. It's awesome art. They have awesome artists. A lot of them do portraits, paint portraits. They are that there are also some who are like miniature artists. So they are very supportive too. If I have questions, especially when it comes to having art as a business, they are the ones I run to. I will also put some masking fluid on some areas. Okay. I know this takes time, but yeah, patience. And some of my audience, especially in the Facebook groups, they would like to see from start to finish. Okay, so here we go. All right. The next one, we will be doing the sky. I will also show you how I do the clouds in a very easy way that with the use of tissue paper. It's it dry fast. Okay, there we go. I will cover my masking fluid there. So for this sky, I will be doing wet on wet since I am using watercolor paint. I'm using watercolors. It is good to have wet on wet. So for that, I am going to use a flat brush. This is from Art Secret. You can use any flat brush that you have. And I'm going to use a Kolinsky brush. This is round brush size 12. I will mix first the color and my mixing palette. So this is cerulean blue. I'm going to get some of the cerulean blue and here first using my first jar of water. Okay, that's it. Cerulean blue is a staining color. Staining as that, okay. That's the blue, cerulean blue. Okay. For the waters, I will be using ultramarine blue, or you could use any warm blue for the ocean, and cool blue here at the top or the sky. So using the clean water, and that is why you should always have two jars of water. Sometimes I do three, okay, because the other jar should be always clean. So I will be starting to wet my paper. I am going to avoid putting water on the lighthouse. I did not mask it, but we can paint it. We can paint it later without ruining everything. Okay, here. Some of my paintings are actually on sale. You can check that out on my Facebook page, or you can also see them on my on my coffee shop. Okay, there you go. You can also support me there in coffee.com. That is where I put my blog. I write articles as well. I put also some pictures in there of my work and also my available paintings. It's in my coffee shop. Okay, there you go. Also, since I'm wetting, I do not wet up to here. This part I preserved it, and also the side here, just up to here. And my water is not like too much watery. It's just enough shine that you can see. It it is not like the water is going down the paper. It's not. It's just enough moist. Okay, so that's enough. And then I will do the clouds. Hello, Katie. I'm glad you're here. All right. So I will paint the sky using cerulean blue. All right. So this is wet on wet. I love watercolors because I like the paint going and flowing with the water. That's what I like. Okay. So what I'm going to do here, I am going to tilt my paper a little bit. I'm doing this so that it can mm, help the paint to move going down, and that will help you to move the paint, okay, and let the watercolor works for you. There you go. So I think that's enough. And then I will going to add more cerulean blue here. All right. It's just flowing. The watercolors are just flowing. All right. And I just let it flow. Okay, there you go. It's not too wet. There's no water dripping down. Okay. And then I'm going to rinse this brush with my dirty water here. Okay. There you go. Think it's still watery. I'm going to remove the excess water from my brush because we need to work a little bit faster. We're still pink. All right, there you go. So my brush is damp, and then I'm going to brush some of the colors here near the lighthouse. Okay, there you go. All right. If you know someone who are interested in watercolor, please share my videos. All right. Hello, Katie. It's not talent, but it's more of practice. Okay. I started painting watercolors in 2019. All right. And I fell in love with the watercolors. There you go. And then I am going to get some tissue paper. You can get all right, a paper towel. I am going to roll it, and this part is damp, not too wet, and I am going to um dip, put it there and shape as clouds. There you go. So there, it will lift colors. Do not lift too much because uh, it will leave some marks from the tissue. All right, it's just enough. Okay, there you go. I do this all the time. This is fun to do, especially if you are painting with a kid. They will have so much fun in this technique. Okay, there you go. So you can see that there are some like it's getting hard edge here. I'm just going to wash it off. Okay. I'm going to get another brush because cerulean blue is very staining and it stains my paper. Okay. Okay, well, Katie, if you can also watch the replay. I did not draw. I have also free outline of this lighthouse, so you can trace it in watercolor painting. You don't have actually to draw, but it's an advantage. You don't have to draw, okay? Because when I started watercolor painting, I do not draw. All of my paintings were very loose and loose florals because at first I was intimidated in doing landscape paintings because I can see a lot of things going around. So I do not do landscapes before. And my outline is available to download. You can see that on the description box. You can download and print. Here you go. You can do that. You can also transfer that on the watercolor paper. There you go. So there, so we have like a sky area here. All right, just softening here. This part with a damp. This is damp brush. Okay, there you go. So now it looks like we have a sky now. So let's do this part, this rocky part, while waiting for the masking fluid to dry. Okay, and this sky area first. So what we want is we do not want to disturb this area since we have this sky here that's waiting to dry. Okay, so let's do this first. Okay, just trying to remove some blues that went there. Okay, there you go. So this part, for this area, I am going to use two browns and mm, two browns and one green. So I have here no, not burnt, yeah, burnt sienna, olive green, and Van Dyke brown. Okay, I am going to mix the colors here. Okay, so this is the burnt sienna. All right. Yes, that's how it is, Katie. You don't have to know how to draw before you paint. It's an advantage, but it's not required. You can trace because in watercolor, in painting, the focus is paint the painting, not the drawing, because the drawing will be covered with paint. So it doesn't matter. You can trace. When I was starting in 2019, all of my paintings in 2020, all of them are loose. Okay. Because I'm afraid to draw. I do not know how to draw. I I just learned how to draw recently. Like last year, I focused more on drawing, especially in perspective drawing last year. Okay, you can also see the reference photo of this lighthouse on the description box below. Okay, but I'll show you again. Let's take a look of the reference photo again to see what we are going to do. Okay, so this is it. So if you can see there, this part is dark. So, and you can see that this part, it doesn't have too much light showing here. And then, but here, the sun touches this area. There are some shadows here as well. All right. And dark here. Okay. As perspective in painting, if it's closer to you, it's dark. If it's far from you, it's light. Okay, there you go. So let's translate this now from photo to painting. Okay, that's what I'm going to do here. I'm still using my round brush, this size 12. You could use any size that you prefer. That's fine. Okay, I will put my reference photo, my iPad away from me. Okay, so there. And then, all right, so for this, I am going to wet this area first. Not, again, not too wet. Okay. Next week, I am going to do live again. That will be Saturday. And that will be a very relaxing painting that you don't have to think too much because I'm just going to teach you how to do a night sky. Okay. So night sky, like two night skies. And in that tutorial, I will show you how to use salt in watercolors. I'm not going to use a special salt, Himalayan salt, or whatever salt. It's just a regular, ordinary table salt, rock salt. Okay? Because I saw on Facebook groups that they are talking about different types of salt that they are using in watercolors. I do not think that much. Okay. So in this area, it is light. Remember, in painting watercolors, it's always light to dark. So I got here my burnt sienna, and I'm going to paint here first. I'm just going to, not thinking that much. I am looking at the reference photo, but I didn't think that much. I just drop the colors, all right, and avoiding the house there. Okay, and I put some paint on the areas mm, that is light. Okay, there you go. So the watercolor, the reference photo that I am using, it is from Unsplash. If you are new in watercolors or in painting, it is best to use your own reference photo. But if you are not good at taking photos, you can do not just grab a photo anywhere on Google. You need to use royalty-free photos and Splash, Pixabay, Pexels. Those are the websites that um, I am using to get reference photos in high quality. Okay, so I wet this area because this area is dry, and then I'm going to start to build some colors here. Or if you have a photographer friend who is willing to share the photos or let you use the his photos for painting, that's also good. Most of the photographers would like to do that. They'd like to share their photos for reference. Okay, so here this is olive green. Okay, so it's just like moss there. And next one is Van Dyke Brown. There. You don't have to copy as it is in the reference photo, but you can also use that as to get the where the light and shadow. That's why I am using a reference photos. Okay, there. Also, the good thing about wet on wet technique is that you can easily edit if you make mistake on something. Like what I did here in this part in the clouds, that I left the colors using tissue paper. I left the colors there using my brush. That's a good thing about wet on wet because once your paint has been put into the paper, it's already permanent and it will leave marks on your paper. Okay, there you go. I, I forgot to put mask here, but yeah, I won't disturb this part anymore. Okay, there you go. I will put some Van Dyke Brown here. You can also use sepia. That's also a good color. Sepia is one of my favorite colors. And I like using sepia for like monochrome paintings. I like that. So what I'm going to do here is I will draw as like paint. Okay. I will just copy what I see on the reference photo. Okay, like where are the shadows and also cover the pencil lines as well. So there. That's why you don't need to be good at drawing when you are painting because when you paint, it will cover it will cover the pencil marks. Okay. I'm wetting this area first before I will drop the colors. I am using Van Dyke Brown here, just a little bit, not too dark. But in this area, the reference photo is dark, so I would put more of mm, Van Dyke Brown here because this part it doesn't touch by the sun. So here, there you go. All right. My paintings are on sale and they're small, so it's an affordable, reasonable price because my paintings are small. I haven't finished yet with a huge painting that I am doing right at the moment. And in painting, you don't have to finish one painting all at once. As long as you keep on practicing and painting every day, that's fine. Okay, so there I am putting more of Van Dyke brown here and evenly. And I do not put more of I if you can notice, I did not wet my brush that much as of now because I am just using anything that is left in my brush. I am using a Kolinsky brush, so it holds lots of water and paint. So it will, so I do not dip my brush too much on water because if you do, you will ruin this area. Okay, we do not want that to happen. I am just covering the pencil marks with the Van Dyke brown using the pencil mark there. That's what I follow as I draw and paint at the same time. Okay. So there, you always check the reference photo where you can see those light areas and dark areas. As of now, I am doing the shadows. And in watercolor painting, it is best to see your light and the shadows because if it doesn't have light and shadows, it doesn't have contrast, your painting will look flat and we do not want that to happen. Okay. The masking fluid is dry here, not here that much. So I'm using more paint than water. So the my consistency is in butter to cream consistency. Like if you do not know much of the watercolor consistency, you could check my first two live sessions. I talk about their the watercolor consistency. You can check that out if you want also to learn how to do wet on wet and also how to I painted landscapes and mountains. Also I painted also monochrome mountains. Painting in monochrome is helpful because it will help you to see where are the lights and the shadows. There you go. And as much as possible, while I'm painting there, I'm doing this painting, as much as possible, this is almost dry, or I'm doing a dry brush technique. That means that it, it's not too wet, all right? It will also give you a good texture on your painting. There you go. I'm going to get more of Van Dyke Brown. So we're just going to use anything that I have in my brush. And then later on, when it's almost dry, if you could see here, this is dry brush. So it gives you like there are some patches of colors. There you go. Right there. Some new artists that I talked to through Messenger and they sent me photos of their output. They're still shy to put it on my Facebook page, but that's fine. Just keep on painting. It's okay if you can send me and if you don't want to post it, if that will be for my eyes only, if you would like to get feedback, I'm open for it. And also one of my viewers last time said that it helpful to it's helpful that I did a two cameras in painting because it showed them a different angle of the rose. If you haven't seen my live session on roses, if you want to learn how to paint loose roses, you can check that out. By the way, later I am going to release a, a video that is about 12 mistakes of artists. You can check that out. That will be at 6 p.m. Manila time or 6 a.m. tomorrow Eastern time. Okay, so this is dry brush technique, and I am painting just the shadows. Okay, like in this area, if you can see, these are dark. This is touches by the light, and we are avoiding that. So I am using the dry brush technique to show some roughness, and that is a good thing about cold press paper. It has tools that can give your paintings like life on your painting. So they're just dry brush. I haven't wet this brush for like few minutes now. I'm just using what is left on my brush. Okay, there you go. And I will do the rest later on. Okay, just finishing whatever I have in my brush here. And then I will move to the ocean because we would like to paint more of the details later. Okay, so I rinse my brush. I'm going to prepare my ultramarine blue for the sea. Okay, so since this is dry, I will put my palette there and then going to remove some of the masking fluid that fell off that it doesn't need in my painting. There you go. There. So we would like to make the horizon line as horizon line like you do, and we don't without thinking that much to straighten it. So I will be using a masking tape to cover the part here. That way we won't disturb this sky area and we'll have crisp horizon lines. Okay. So for every landscape that you are going to paint, the horizon line is crucial. Okay. So because it will show the depth. Horizon line can help you to show the depth in your painting. That's why it is crucial. So I will put it here in the cloud area. All right. The cloud area, not on the ocean area, because we are going to paint on the area of the ocean. All right. Let me remove some of the pencil marks here first before putting the tape. So we don't have to worry about the pencil marks later. There you go. That's why masking tape is very helpful for me. I do it by painter's tape because this one works for me. Okay, so I'm going to paint or I'm going to wet this area. I'm going to avoid too much water in this part. Okay, there you go. I will be also using white. I might use whitewash later, but I will try to preserve some of the areas white that needs to be white that to show more of the ocean foam. Okay, so it's not too much watery. It's not you won't see any dripping of water or puddles of water here is just enough wet, okay, but not to the point that it's dark, that it is damp. So my consistency of here, this is the milk consistency of ocean, of I mean of paint. I will paint this part here first, and then here as I go upward here, it you notice that it is lighter, okay, and we want the this area light because as per perspective, if something is far from you, it is light, and if it's near to you, it is dark. So there you go. I'm using whatever paint that left in my brush and just brushing it off. Okay, there you go. I will get more of ultramarine blue. Okay, there. In this area, I paint. I'm painting it very carefully to avoid disturbing the rocks there. Okay, so right there, I am going to leave very small white space there to show there is foam. Okay, and as a beginner in watercolors, when I was starting, I'm also afraid to use too much paint. But I learned that when you do that, you won't have enough contrast in your painting. So don't be afraid to use paint or move your consistency of watercolor to milk to butter or cream consistency, and that will give you nice painting actually. Okay, so there you go. I will paint up to here, there. So if you notice, I dip my brush into my pan, and I did not put it here in my mixing palette. I just put it there directly. It's fine. And I put more of the paint in this area to show, because later on it will, once it's dry, all right, you will see that it is lighter. Watercolors dry lighter when you when the first time you put the paint. Okay, so you you can add more colors there, because once you remove the masking fluid, it will leave you these white areas white. Okay, and we do not want that to be like light. Okay, we want to show some of like contrast in your painting. Okay, and there, just a little bit here. Okay, so if you notice, my paint did not flow because this area is damp, not what do you call this? Not too watery. So I'm and also using thick consistency of my watercolor. All right, and it will help you to show you. It will also help you to show some contrast in your painting. So here I'm just going to dip directly from my pan. It doesn't have too much of water. And I will paint it directly here. All right, there, to show that there is like dark color of the water. So I will dip a little bit. Okay, just a little bit. Okay, there. So you can see it's my paint did not flow because it's damp. All right. Do not be afraid to move your consistency of your colors to milk to butter consistency. Because if we do not use that much paint, it would look flat. We would like to show depth, we would like to show liveliness on your paintings. Okay, there you go. And the good thing about using professional grade paint, you don't have to use that much. A little goes a long while. Okay. Okay, there you go. So done with this area with the ocean. We will let this dry and we will go back to this area. Okay. To the rocky part. Okay. But I will use a flat brush to wet the area again. Okay. Not too wet, but just enough wet. Okay. And I will paint again some of the areas. Okay. I have Van Dyke brown here. So we'll add some areas here. I will add it here. Okay. Sometimes I do not think about where to or how much paint that I will put in. Just using the reference photo, where are the light and the shadows. And I don't think of those details as of the moment. And most of the time that will help you because when you think too much, okay, you will have burnout in painting. Don't stress yourself. Painting should be not stressful, but painting should be relaxing. Painting helped me to relieve me from stress and also anxiety, especially in the past 3 years. All right. Okay. So there, I will leave this area first. I will go to the lighthouse. Here, you can see that there are showing light and shadow. And okay, then there you go. This area is light. We won't paint this area. We will only paint the shadow. So that is what we call negative painting. For this, since the lighthouse is small, I will be using a small brush. Am going to use Princeton Heritage Round Size 2. I'm going to mix color. Let me get some colors here for like this ultramarine blue and sepia. Okay, I just get here because blue and brown can help you to make some nice gray. Okay. And also in watercolor painting, we do not mix black and white to make grays. Okay. We use the primary colors, or sometimes we are using different colors like browns or the blues, the oranges. You can use that. Okay, so this is okay. Let me check if I still have scrap of paper here. Okay, I all right. I think I forgot to scrap of paper. Okay, there we go. I have a scrap of paper here to show and to test my mm, gray. Okay, this is the gray that I mix with the ultramarine and sepia. Okay, that's what I have. Okay, and this one I will water it down a little bit more. Okay, this one is good enough for me. Okay, and I am going to paint here. So for this, I am going to paint this one first with water, just damp. All right, damp, not too wet. We don't want the water to flow that much. Okay, I'm going to get my gray and I'm going to paint this area. Okay, I am going to avoid the left part. Okay, there you go. So I wet the just the right area, not the left part. Okay, there you go. As you can see, it doesn't flow that much, just enough. Okay, there you go. And there. So I did not put masking fluid here because we can just avoid painting that part. And I'm going to use my wet flat brush to soften this area so it won't leave like hard edges, and also this area too. There you go. All right. And then I am going to paint the house. Okay, for the house, I will paint first the shadows. I am going to avoid the areas that should be white or showing um there are the sun is touching that area. Okay, so this area, okay, and this part. So in the reference photo, this one is touching by the sunlight. Okay, there you go. All right. So after that, okay, let me get the reference photo. Okay, just like that. Okay, now I'm going to paint this area. Okay, this area, that the roof and the chimneys here, using going to use the burnt sienna here. Okay, there we go. And later on, we will add some shadows in this part as well. But for now, if you are painting the burnt sienna, if you can see, it's very light. It's not too thick. So this is into tea to coffee consistency because we don't want to paint too dark at yet. Because again, painting watercolors is from light to dark. We don't want to disturb it yet because we can put dark later, dark colors or shadows later. We would like to have it very nice and soft now. And later on, we are going to paint it with shadows. Okay, that's it. And I will add a little bit of shadow in this roof. All right, there you go. To show that there is shadow there. Okay, so if you are painting, if you're going to do this painting, make sure that you download also the reference photo to look at it all the time. Okay, now let's go back to this area. Okay, to the rocky area right there. I'm just going to do dry brush technique here. I'm going to get some of burnt sienna here. So this is my burnt sienna. Okay, all right. There you go. I'm going to remove some of the paint on the towel, and I will brush it off. I'm trying to remove some of the paint. Okay, there. If you see that it it doesn't have that much paint. This is what we are trying to do. Okay, there you go. So it's dry brush. It leaves some marks of the paper. All right. It doesn't paint everything. All right. There you go. I will be using this Van Dyke Brown. Okay. Dry brush technique. I am using this for rocks, for sand. It's nice to use dry brush technique with those kind of paintings. Okay, there you go. I will leave it like that there. Okay, there. I think I am done with the rocks. And now, since we're almost done with this painting, I am going to paint on the shadows of the house and also on the lighthouse. I will be using the Van Dyke Brown. It is thick consistency. All right, using size 2 round brush here. So I will paint the details here. So I will paint as I draw. Okay, I'm just following the pencil marks that I put it here. So you don't have to think too much. All right. It's good if you have like a small brush, or you could use like detail brush, like rigger brush. You can also use that for painting like details like this. If you would like to use like pens, you could use Sakura Micron or Faber-Castell artist pens. Those are the ones that I use that do not smudge on the paper, mm, even if you put water on top. Okay, there you go. Just following the drawing and also the reference photo. Jackie said, "Wow, thank you." Okay, just following the lines in my outline. There we go. If you are interested in line and wash, I do not do much of line and wash, but I can have a tutorial a little bit with using pens. So this part, I'm just painting just like the half part of it, like this area, okay, the area of the chimney. Okay, this is lighter and this is darker, so I'm painting the shadows. All right, there. It's very nice if you have a reference photo in your phone or in your iPad like this, so you can always zoom in and zoom out all the time, because it's very hard to see the light in the shadows or the details if you printed those reference photo. There you go. So just painting like the shadows here. Okay. There also the door here. I'm also going to use the Van Dyke Brown for painting the fence. Just drawing it using my brush, just the tip of my brush. And using a small brush or you painting the details will help you also with your brush strokes. This is a very relaxing hobby, right? Relaxing, and it will help you to think of something else instead of thinking of your problems. If you want to relax from all of the stress in your life and what and everything that is happening around you, this painting is a very, very good therapy. Okay, so there I'm done with the browns. Now I'm going to get like the consistency of my gray there to paint some of details on the house, the roof here. There you go to show the windows there. So if you haven't tried to do watercolor painting yet, I recommend that you try because it's a good way to it's a good way to relax. It helped me with my anxiety. It helped me with my with the stress that I have. It relaxes me. That's why I love painting. At first, I did not thought of selling my work. I thought it's just a hobby, but then, um, it ended up like I'm teaching it now. I am selling my work. I have I have my work on sale on my coffee shop. All right. So if you want to check out my work, I have free. I also offer free shipping, by the way. Okay. Now it's time to remove the masking tape here. So the painting is done. Okay. I'm going to remove some of the pencil marks again here. That did not touch the paint. Okay. That's it. Using, I am going to use this hard eraser to remove the masking fluid. Okay. It will show you the magic, the foam of the water. All right, there you go. So just a relaxing weekend for painting. Woo. Okay, next live tutorial. I will be live Saturday morning, Philippine time, same time. And I will be doing, or I will be teaching you how to use salt in watercolor. I will be painting. I will teach you how to paint Starry Night. And I will be also using some whitewash that can replicate some stars. So those are my plans for next week. And on next Friday, I will be teaching you how to paint loose sunflowers. Okay. And this tutorial is live. It's totally free. You don't have to pay for anything here. I won't remove my live sessions on my YouTube channel. I do not do that because I want everyone to see and also to learn watercolors for free. Okay, there you go. I am using a dry brush to remove those dry masking fluid. I do not use my hands because my hands is somehow oily and we do not want to mess our painting. All right, especially if you are planning to sell your painting, you don't want to do that. And there are some marks or smudges of paint everywhere using with your hands. So always use a clean dry brush if you are going to remove masking fluid or erasures in your painting. All right, there you go. Because I would put this painting on sale, all right, on my coffee shop. Okay, there you go. So my paper is dry. Okay, my painting is dry. This is finished. Okay, I hope you enjoy this tutorial. By the way, I am going to remove my tape now. Without, I will show you without ruining my paper. Okay, I'm starting here on the left. I'm pulling my tape away from my paper, always away from your paper. Okay, like this, and slowly. Do not rush things. Remember, if you are painting, you should be patient. Okay, there you go. So there. See, as I am just using a regular masking tape, I do not use any expensive tapes. Okay. Okay, here the right side, I am going to remove the tape again away from my paper. That's why I tape first top, bottom, side. Okay, there. Also, painting on a loose sheet of paper like this and putting tape on the sides will give you nice edge, clear edge. It will also help the framer how to frame your painting very nice because you give them an allowance on your paint on the paper. Okay, so they're removing the tape away. All right. Okay, last one. There you go. If you paint along with me or if you watch now and paint later, I would like to see your output. Please put that your outputs on the comment section of my events page on my Facebook page. Or if you're shy, it's okay if you can send me a PM using with your painting. So this is my finished painting. I hope you like it. Okay, so here we did the dry brush. So if you could see the dry brush technique that I did here, you would see some texture of the paper here. That is very nice using the dry brush technique. Masking these will help you to show them of the foam of the water. Also using the lifting paint here using the tissue paper will give you an effect of the clouds. Okay, and there you go. This is the finished artwork. I hope to see you guys again next week. And next week, I will be teaching you to paint Starry Night and loose sunflowers in the following week. If you have any requests, as long as it is not portraits, I do not do portraits, please. Okay, if you have any suggestion on what to paint next time, please send me a message or comment down below or send me a message on my Facebook. There you go. Thank you for watching this tutorial. I hope you like this and have a good day. Bye.